What's up, everyone, and welcome to Project XTalk, an Xbox podcast, episode number 196, presented by Save the Game Media. I'm your host, Kevin, and on today's episode, we'll be recapping their Gamescom opening night live. We'll be talking about Indiana Jones going to PlayStation 5. We got a Game Pass drop, and his avowed lock to 30 FPS on console. We'll talk about all that and more, but gotta introduce my co-host returning from his little break, JamPackSam. How are you doing, buddy?
What's up, man? I'm doing very well. I am well rested. I'm feeling good. Glad to be back. I know we had a great fill-in show last week that people enjoyed, but I'm back in the saddle. Happy to be here having conversations about gaming once again.
Yeah. Shout out the nerd chat. If anyone missed last week's episode, they joined me. It was a fun time for sure. They got some takes over there. You're familiar with the nerd chat, all right?
Oh yeah.
They said they want to have us both on, so I'm sure we'll become even more familiar with them. But I am glad to have you back, especially for this episode, because we got a lot to talk about. But before we get into all that, going to go through some housekeeping. This is Project XTalk. We are live every Thursday right here on youtube.com/SaveTheGameMedia at 7 p.m. Eastern time. If you can't catch us live, we post every Friday morning on your favorite audio platform of choice. While you're over there, make sure to drop us that 5-star review. It helps us in those algorithms. If you want to support us even further, get early audio access to Save the Game Media content and exclusive bonus content like the show will be recording this weekend. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Head over to patreon.com/SaveTheGameMedia. Choose the tier that's right for you, like our current Patreon supporters. So thank you to Fabulous Brianna, Brianna's mom, Brianna's brother, Lindsay, Nikolai at Night, Cypher, Primus, Brendan Myers, Marcus O'Neill, Lillian, Mimi J, David Hotwright, Dave Harp, the Xbox Expansion Pass, Alpaca Tom, Lee Navarro, Silkenit, Ellery Woods Parker the Third, Chad, and Shelby Macy. Thank you all for your support. We appreciate each and every one of you. Sam, we got the housekeeping out of the way. I have not seen you in 2 weeks, so what have you been playing in the downtime?
I have been playing a good many things, and by a good many, I mean a whole bunch of Gears of War and then Star Wars Outlaws. Now, the latter of which I cannot talk about. The embargo for that lifts on August 26th at 8 a.m. Eastern time, so I'll have a video ready for that over on my stuff, and then, of course, we'll talk about it here whenever the embargo is up, and I'll give my thoughts on it. But huge thanks to Ubisoft for sending over that code. That's going to be my free time for the next probably 5 days or so. But beyond that, I've been going on a little Gears of War journey. Now, I think that I mentioned this before I left on vacation, but I was playing Gears of War Judgment, which is the one from People Can Fly. I rolled credits on that. It's fine, like it's a People Can Fly Gears of War game, and I like
the description. Style. It's fine.
It's fine. I mean, it's very arcadey in the way that it plays. There are challenges that you pick up throughout the game, and it's fine. If you really enjoy the Gears of War combat, it's good. Then from there, that's where my journey took a bit of a turn, because I was like, well, I've already played the first 3 Gears games. I guess I need to jump into Gears 4. So I started playing Gears 4, and I was like, none of this feels familiar to me. What's going on? So I went back to my Xbox achievements. As it turns out, I haven't played Gears of War 2 nor 3.
No.
So I just played Gears of War Ultimate Edition, and I was like, I'm done. So I guess 16-year-old me just totally blocked out that I never played Gears of War 2 and 3. So I am now playing Gears of War 2, which I will pick back up after the Star Wars Outlaws embargo lifts and whatnot. But yeah, going on a little Gears of War adventure now.
How is that? How did your brain implanted false memories of you playing Gears of War? Do you know what the big moments from Gears 3, like the ones people always talk about?
I mean, I know about the losses and whatnot, not to spoil anything, because I'm sure that other people are going to be going back and playing. I know like the big beats, and I know the memes that are coming, that have like grown up through the years. But I think that it was one of those games where I whenever I got an Xbox 360, I was probably in like, I want to say 7th grade, whenever I originally had PS3 and then I got a 360. And I think that my friends just talked about it at the lunchroom table, and I was playing Call of Duty and I was playing Halo and stuff. And I just think that I just kind of filled those gaps in. So feel free to take away my gamer card. I get it. But yeah, I was just as shocked as anybody else, where I was like, I have no achievements in Gears of War 2 nor 3. So I'm going back to play those. I think that I had like 10 achievements in Gears 2, and then I just dropped off. So I'm going back to redeem myself. And of course, now's a good time to do it. They have FPS boost and the auto HDR and all that good stuff. So I'm not mad about it, really.
You know, I have a master's in psychology for anyone curious, and something we learn about is fake memories and how people
Mm.
have like been convinced like that their uncle did some horrible thing to them as a kid, and but like it never actually happened. Like those are situations in the world. I'm seeing this in real time. All right, very lower scale. Okay, Gears of War. You're not playing Gears of War, but wild, wild. I know. Shout out Joe from the trophy room in the chat hanging out with us. He says Xbox is fucking dead.
We'll get into that. But
Yeah.
hey, at least we have the memories like playing Gears 2 and 3, apparently, which I made up in my own mind.
Captain Logan, who also went on his own Gears journey recently, if you've been listening to XEP, says the love scene between Dom and the Queen was intense. He's trying to implant more. He's trying to
Ah,
implant more fake memories.
gotcha. I'm sure that I'll get to that eventually because that's one that I don't remember.
Shout out Silkin It and Gaming Together, who says that exact memory thing happened to me with Time Splitters. I thought I played them all, but everything I remembered was all in Future Perfect.
I
So you
think maybe it's
split
because
'em
I've
up.
gone back. Like I played Gears of War and then I played Gears of War Ultimate Edition, which is basically and honestly, like if you kind of like make your eyes relax a little bit and you just like let everything blur around you, you're like, Gears, nice. It's the same thing with
Mhm.
Halo. Like they're all kind of the same vibe anyway. But no, I'll go back and definitely redeem myself there. But definitely some fake memories implanted around there.
That's hilarious. Well, Gears of War 2 is my personal favorite, so I hope you enjoy it. Gears of War 3 is also fantastic, and I like Gears 4 as well. So, just keep the train rolling.
I'm gonna keep it going. I'm gonna keep the coal train rolling, as they say.
There you go. There you go. Well, my gaming this week has been pretty limited, to be honest. I've been playing mainly FIFA, and I every time I play it, I'm like, why am I doing this right now? Why am I torturing myself with this game right now? I'm really in that in between period right now where Concord comes out tomorrow, and I know most people don't care, but I'm looking forward to playing it with the friends. I think it has like 7,000 players on Steam right now, or total. I'm not
Okay.
sure which. So a little better than the beta was doing, but yeah, that's the digital deluxe edition. I'm not spending the extra $20 though, so we're gonna be playing the base game. Other than that, I was playing more of that Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. And if you heard me talk about it last week, I was like, I'm in chapter 3. I think the game has a lot of nostalgia goggles on it, right? Like it's not as good as I remember on the GameCube. And I'm here to tell you, folks, this game's not very good at all. Like it gets worse the longer you play it. It just gets so boring. And I made it to chapter 5, and then I said, I'm done. I've had enough of this. And so Nintendo is 0 for 2 for games I picked up on the Switch this year. Maybe Mario and Luigi Brothership will be the one that turns it around in November. But man, not nearly as fun or good as I remember that game being.
Do you think there's a strategy around like, hey, Switch is on the way out. We have these in the back pocket and need some filler, where it's like at the beginning of the Switch generation, it was all killer, no filler. And now it's like all filler, no killer as we kind of dwindle down. And it's like we've sold the units. Is that like an element here in the strategy, do you think?
Yo, man, I'm hoping not because like the direct had me hyped when we saw that, like, oh, a new Mario Luigi game that made one in like 8 years, and then they're re-releasing the Donkey Kong, remastering the Donkey Kong game
Yeah.
that I never played, and that's like January of next year. So that's like one of the last releases that's probably going to come out for the Switch, and I'm getting that, and I was like, I hope this is still like, I hope this is good. Like, I hope this
Yeah.
isn't like a crappy port or, I really hope that isn't the case. But so far, man, I'm not feeling the Switch this year at all.
Yeah, I think there's potential. I mean, I'm rarely, if ever, feeling the Switch. I bought the Nintendo Championships Edition thing, which we know that's just me being like the weird retro collector kind of guy that I am. But I've never really been a huge Switch guy. However, like there are some bangers there, so I hope that, especially Mario and Luigi Brothership, like that's the one that really stands out to me as like brand new idea. But after like Princess Peach Showtime, I'm like, well, I didn't hear great things about that, but it's also like I don't know, not my cup of tea. But either way, hope it's good.
$8 at Best Buy. That's all I'm saying.
Princess Peach Showtime?
No, I'm saying you could get $8 for your
Oh,
Switch.
yeah. I can't remember if that was on a main show or a post show, but you
I
can
don't
trade in a
know.
Switch Lite for like $8 or $15 or something at Best Buy. I'm like, I think I'd rather just use it as a coaster at that point. I'm good, honestly.
And then the condensation won't matter because it's not charged anyway.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just a paperweight.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, Sam. Well, that's all I've been playing. Looking forward to talking about actual games next week because a lot next week signifies the game releases that are start like busting out, like Star Wars, Visions of Mana, Concord's coming out tomorrow. I got gory, cuddly Carnage. I want to play. Like after that, it's crazy. So many casting of Frank Stone. Man, my wallet's hurting. All right, don't
Oh
don't
yeah.
tell the girlfriend.
I'm very excited about it. I mean, like, I do want to take a step back. Like, yeah, it's the video game release season. It kind of like once you get to a certain level with like podcasting and being in the zeitgeist of like the public conversation, it kind of washes over you, and you're like, okay, here we go. But like, man, we got a lot of good stuff coming up.
Mhm.
I mean, like Black Myth Wukong came out last week. You got Concord, like you said, Star Wars Outlaws. I mean, I'm looking forward to even stuff like Epic Mickey Rebrushed. I'm looking at my list that I've got here. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff coming out. So get hype, people. That's exciting.
Yeah, this fall is crazy. This fall is crazy. But let's talk we're talking about games. Let's talk about some other games that were announced this week during Gamescom because we had the opening night live show. Jeff Keighley does every single year, kicking off Gamescom, which is the biggest gaming show in the world for those of you that don't know. But what was actually shown at the showcase before we get to that? Sam, did you watch it?
I did. I did. So I did the usual to back up. I mean, we both work full time, and here
Mhm.
comes Jeff Keighley in with a pre-show at like 1 p.m. or something,
Thank
like
you.
middle of the day. Which I get it. This is a German event. Like we are in Germany, so I totally understand that you can't have the showcase at like 9 o'clock, which would be like 3 a.m. their time or something wild. But like, brother, I can't watch this. What do you
Mhm.
want from me? I mean, I'm literally working. So I did my usual go down to the gym, get on the elliptical, and have it running on my iPhone while I do the elliptical, and then get a good workout in while I watch all these game trailers that were of varying quality.
Yeah, so I'm pretty similar. I work 7 to 3, so my
Okay.
schedule's a little like I was working from home that day, so I did have it on. I put it up on a screen while I'm sitting there on my laptop, like, oh, I could watch this at the same time. And then I watched the first hour because I officially started 2 to 3, right? And then 3 o'clock hit, and I was like, I'm going to the gym. I'm gonna
Yep.
watch the second half while I do cardio at the gym, and that was the best decision I ever made. Because I'll get into it, but I do want to hear your overall thoughts. What did you think of Gamescom opening night live?
I mean, I thought that there were some really big hitters right out of the gate, right? Like there are things here that are worth paying attention to. I made a short on my YouTube channel just talking about like here are 5 things you might have missed, like Borderlands 4. Like that's a really big name drop to have in there. I saw some other smaller games that were kind of grabbing my eye, but overall, like I'd give it probably like I think this is like a 7.5 if we're rating
Mm,
it on a scale of 1 to 10. Like I think it's fine,
wow. Okay.
but I definitely don't think that it's like headliner. Here's like, the premier gaming event of the year. What did you think about it?
So people might think I'm harsh here, all right, but I have to say, I thought this year's Gamescom was the worst showcase I have seen in probably 5 plus years.
Really? The like
I
out of everything, this is the worst one.
Out of everything I've actively sat down and watched, like everything
That's pretty
Jeff
big.
Keighley's put on, Nintendo Directs, PlayStation, this was a complete waste of time. I said, I think I tweeted this. Definition of this could have been an email. Like there was nothing of value would have been lost if this show didn't happen, in my opinion. Like I really did not enjoy my time watching this. And it's like, again, that's what I said. I'm so glad I went to the gym so I could do something productive and just have this like glancing look at, oh yeah, okay, another trailer, oh, a mobile game,
Yeah,
another mobile game, okay, okay, especially those last 15 minutes. Oof, Jeff, what are you doing? But man,
a lot of mobile games.
yeah, I don't know what he was doing. I think I walked away more from this thinking we need less showcases, especially from Jeff Keighley. Like Summer Game Fest, and that, like, what if we just have one? What just combine them? Like, if you take Summer Game Fest and this and put them together, which again, I was not very high on Summer Game Fest either. If you put them together, you might have a decent or good show. Like, take your big announcements because some of the things on here, I'm like, I understand you got to pay for the show, just wasn't worth it. Wasn't worth it. Was especially for 2 hours. Pacing was all over the place. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of events over the summer. I know that like Capcom does their own little thing, and then you've got Gamescom, like you said, and Summer Game Fest. It'd be great if there was like some kind of like Electronic Entertainment Expo, where it was like, just one big exposition for an entire week where everybody got together in, like, I don't know, Los Angeles, and like did one big event that everybody came to, call like E3 or something. Just throwing it out there. Just it might be an idea. I bet you could do it for like 20 or 30 years. It'd probably catch on pretty fast.
Really just condense it all so you don't have to spread everyone's mind share out and show. You know what my big problem is? I felt like we just saw most of these games like 4 weeks ago,
Oh
and
yeah.
now you're showing me them again, and I'm like, I can't get excited for essentially seeing the same thing that I've already seen. If I felt like I was watching a rerun.
Yeah, I mean, looking at my top 5 pieces of news, like obviously Borderlands 4 is new. You've got the Dying Light game that's new that I called out. You've got the Mafia: The Old Country that's there. But it's like what you said. I don't know where you put those. Like, I feel like those could have been Game Awards announcements and it would have been fine. Like, Gamescom is, I think it's more of an obligation that Keeley has to kind of cover this and be involved at this point. But like the big hitters of like, here's 7 minutes of Call of Duty gameplay. Cool. Call of Duty Next is in like 2 weeks. Like, it's fine. But at the same time, like, I like seeing it. I think that's where I'm at with it too. And this is kind of another side effect of being somebody who watches it after the fact in the gym. And it might be why I'm higher on it. If there's something that I don't care about, my little thumb's tapping, man. 15, 30, 45, like I'm going up, 15-second intervals, and I'm just skipping right through that. All the like Honkai Star Rail and Genshin coming to Xbox and all that. Happy for you. Anyways, get me on out of here because I don't need this 2-hour show. I'm fine.
Yeah, completely fair. And it's one of those things where like I like to watch live. Like if I could, we would have done a live react. I'm kind of glad we didn't do a live react because I would have been just staring blankly at the screen like falling asleep. But I do like watching these in real time, like going on social media, seeing everyone's like excitement, but it wasn't really that vibe this year. I felt like I went on, no one was really talking about any of the announcements. It wasn't like Wario64 had his big thread of like, oh, here's what was announced. So like nobody really was caring all that much. Unlike where the Xbox showcase was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. Or even when PlayStation does especially when PlayStation showcase, like people pop off for those things.
Yeah, I also think that it's, I mean, would you agree that the biggest announcement for the mainstream is probably Borderlands 4? Like,
I think so.
That's the big thing. And it's like, even that coming off of the movie a couple of weeks ago, like I kind of removed the two in my mind of like, yeah, they did a shitty movie and then they have the game that's coming out. Like, I'm sure it'll be fine. And then I have like this little block in my brain that's like, ooh, Randy Pitchford's like, just kind of weird over there doing his thing. And then like attacking people on Twitter over his movie that people didn't like. But nonetheless, like, I think that's big for the mainstream audience in terms of like who's going to be, like tuning in. But yeah, I think that it was fine for me, but it was definitely a lot of filler for like the people that are just there for the cool games and big announcements. There's a lot of updates. Indie on PS5 was another big thing that like obviously we'll talk about, but yeah, it was a weird show that I'd still give like a 7.5 probably.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're speaking of the announcements, why don't we jump into some of them? All right. So I did want to highlight two things from the pre-show, which I don't know why they were on the pre-show. I felt like these could have been on the main show and they would have been better announcements than some of the announcements from the main show. But Supermassive has announced their next game in the Dark Pictures anthology, Directive 8020. It's a sci-fi horror game. Looks like doppelgangers. I thought it looked pretty good. It looks like they upped the engine, facial animations, the graphical quality looked a lot higher than what we've seen from them in the past. So I'm excited for that. They obviously have the casting of Frank Stone and Little Nightmares, probably coming out before this game, but they're busy over there.
Very nice. Yeah, I did not catch the pre-show, so this is one that I have actually not seen. So I'm looking up the trailer right now, actually.
Yeah, a good trailer, especially if you're into those type of games like I am with my girlfriend. I already got plans like, hey, I got Labor Day off. That's when the casting of Frank Stone comes out. You want to just like play a horror movie game, which is only $40, by the way. I love that. Hope that's a new pricing model for them going forward for these cinematic movie choice-based games.
Yeah, totally. I like that price model as well. If it's like, I would say 8 to 10 hours and it's like of a good, really high quality, $40 is totally fair. I mean, like Assassin's Creed Mirage launched at 50. So I'm thinking about stuff like that. But yeah, that trailer looks sick. I just watched it. Obviously it's only a minute long, so there's not a whole lot there, but I want to get more into these games as time goes on. Cause typically I'm specifically thinking about the casting of Frank Stone because it's the single player game. Like this is the new kind of take on how they're doing this. And so that's appealing for somebody like me who doesn't really do the whole traditional kind of way they set their games up. So yeah, it looks good. I'm excited to see them continuing to do more stuff and continuing to up that ante, because I think the better you can make these visually, the more impactful they'll end up being. And obviously, they're hitting new highs with this.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then the other one I wanted to shout out was Sniper Elite Resistance coming 2025. It's coming to Game Pass as well. So our audience, I know a lot of people when Sniper Elite 4 was it came out,
Yep.
a lot of people said they were really enjoying that one. So just wanted to highlight that for people.
Yeah, in the comments on the Xbox video, they were like, "This looks exactly like the other ones," and I was like,
That's the
"Yes,
whole thing.
yes, that is indeed what we have here." So I don't know if we'll talk about it. I'm kind of scrolling through to make sure to see if we discuss it. But the Atom Fall, is there Atom Fall notes in here at all?
I didn't have any, but that could have been in the time I was driving from my house to the gym.
No worries. I don't even know if it was in the main show, honestly. I saw it during the
Mm.
Xbox presentation on like day one of Gamescom, like where they're doing the live streams throughout the week. It's also coming from Rebellion, and like visually, they're hitting a new high with obviously the Sniper Elite game looks great, and they've always been pretty good visually. But Atomfall looks really, really good. Now, there's some of the motions that are kind of like that uncanny valley, like, ooh, you look kind of weird kind of deal. But like environmentally and performance wise, it looks great. So like I'm really impressed with what they're bringing in terms of both Sniper Elite and Atomfall. Very nice.
Can I just say though, horrible name for a game. We need to get away from the falls. Like
Yeah.
it does nobody Godfall, Redfall. Like who has released the game with that in the title and been like, it's a smashing success?
Godfall, Redfall, Greedfall. I'm trying to think of what else we've got that's fall related. But yeah, I don't know. It's like I look at Atomfall and I'm like, and I don't want to dwell on it too long, but it's like a Bioshock Atomic Heart, and I'm like, do I need that? Like I'm gonna play it because it's on Game Pass, but it's like I don't know. It's kind of weird British humor thing too. So it's one that I'm keeping my eye on. Definitely playing it because it's on Game Pass, but visually very impressive.
Silkiness says, "Hey, no Greedfall slander, please." Greedfall was one I wanted to like. I picked it up and I was like, "This is a little too janky for me."
I know.
And
I never played it.
I'm
Isn't Greedfall 2 coming out? I've seen people talking about that.
Yes,
Yes.
Greedfall 2 is coming out, and I think that one uh, I'm not sure. I thought that was launching in early access. I think they're gonna try to do like a Hades type situation before instead of just releasing the game this time.
Interesting. Yeah. And I think that I've seen Clint talking about that in the XEP Discord. I feel like he's pretty high on Greedfall as well, which clearly Silken it is as well, too. So that's coming out on September 24th, 2024 is when Greedfall is
Oh
dropping.
wow. Oh wow.
So
Okay.
right around the corner, apparently.
All right. Well, let's get into the main announcements for the show. So, the first announcement, as we've already discussed, they opened up with Borderlands 4, a cinematic trailer coming to Xbox, PS5, and PC in 2025. I'm not a Borderlands guy. I played the first one and the second one a little bit, and the Handsome Jack one. My brother Kyle makes me play all these games. All right, everyone. All right, you know, go to the anime podcast on the channel and tell him leave Kevin alone. He doesn't like Borderlands. All right, let him know in the comments. But no, he loves the Borderlands. I'm happy for him, but this does nothing for me except I thought it was interesting. No cell shading during the. I don't know if anybody knows that. No cell shaded visuals. I don't know if it was just for the trailer or it's signaling, hey, we're gonna make the game look different.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see what they do there. I would assume that's probably just like a narrative thing to kind of disguise it coming right out of the gate, because you didn't really know it was Borderlands until they flipped the mask over and it was one of the Psycho masks. But for me, I've also never really been a big Borderlands guy. I've dabbled in it a bit. Like I probably put in total maybe 10 hours into all of the Borderlands games combined. But it does make me want to go back and play them, because I think that the time that I was playing these, I was more into the Call of Duty kind of run and gun grind in high school. And so when Borderlands 2 came out on the 360, I was like, yeah, I like my gun. Like I like my loadout. And Borderlands is traditionally all about like continuously cycling through new guns, finding new weapons, and just kind of playing the game. So I would assume they're pretty light lifts in terms of like mainlining the stories. They're all on sale right now. So I think like $25 would probably get you all of the Borderlands games. So I might go back and give them a shot, but that's pretty much all it does for me. I will probably play this one. Don't know if it'll be a launch though.
I think they have a whole collection where you can just buy one thing, it'll just give you every Borderland. They might even come with like Tales from the Borderlands.
I think I saw that as well. I think that like I own Borderlands 2 on 360, and they were like, you can save $10. I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, cool, neat.
Mhm.
So I might go and dabble and see if that's out there for a couple of bucks, because that's a whole lot of game you can get for a very low price right now, I
Mhm.
think.
Yeah, absolutely. So look forward to that, Borderlands fans. Next up, we got a Call of Duty Black Ops 6 single player deep dive, as is tradition on a Jeff Keighley show. It was more Call of Duty. Like it looks like Call of Duty to me. The only thing I wanted to point out from this trailer, and Sam, you might have more to say about the actual contents of what we saw. Bill Clinton was in there. Bill Clinton's in the
Bill
game.
Clinton was in there.
Uh, I thought it was very interesting. No play it day one with Game Pass splash screen at the end. No mention of that at all. Like it showed the pre-ordered for the beta access, but I was like, again, Xbox dropping the ball here. What's going on?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see that. I didn't even catch that because I was again passively watching it, but yeah, they definitely need to capitalize on that more in terms of like the actual content in the game itself. I think that where I'm at with Call of Duty is it's almost like high quality Madden, where it's like that is a Call of Duty game, and you do have characters from Cold War, and they are shooting each other, and it happens to be in DC this time, which like I kind of like that. Thinking back to like Modern Warfare 2, I always loved the DC missions in that, just because they're like monuments you can kind of pick
Mhm.
out, and things that as an American, like you can kind of like identify with, where it's like, oh, it's the, you're riding a motorcycle through the National Mall. Like it's neat. Um, but beyond that, like it's a high octane, high action Call of Duty game. So nothing really to say there. But it looks very polished. I'm excited to play it. And again, Game Pass is a really big get for them, but they definitely need to be promoting it more. But maybe I was going to say they want to just kind of, again, let the money machine print. But at the same time, why'd you spend all that money if you're not going to at least try to get some Game Pass subs out of it? But maybe that'll do itself. I don't know. Well, we'll get into it. They've been doing some weird marketing this week through Gamescom, clearly.
Yeah. So Will Broke Boy Lewis in the chat, shout out Will, says stories our Xbox can't really mention COD on Game Pass. The Iron Lords talked about it. Yes, I did see our friends over at the Iron Lords, who I will bring up in a later story. But I did see them mention this. I know Paris Lee was talking about it, saying they've heard some things that they can't market it to the fullest extent yet. Maybe some deals with Sony about marketing or something. I don't know the
Mm.
full story, but I did want to bring it up. Like, hey, no Game Pass splash screen, super interesting.
Yeah, I would also wonder, and I haven't listened to the Iron Lords yet on what their take is there, but I would imagine that like with the FTC being very scrutiny, or they're scrutinizing this deal very closely, of like, see, they laid off a whole bunch of people. We told you. If they came out and they were like, you can play it day one through Game Pass, and also, if you want on PlayStation, like if they
Mhm.
were weird about it and tried to like really shove it down people's throats, the FTC would probably come after them. So I would imagine that's probably a big deal as well.
Yeah, yeah. Next up, we got Goat Simulator Remastered coming later this year. It's coming to Game Pass, and I gotta say, shout out, best trailer of the night in my opinion. This one was they went to the Arkham style penitentiary, the remaster ward. They had the Skyrim making fun of that. Like so many good little teases in here. Like Goat Simulator really knocks it out of the park with trailers. Don't care about the games at all, but their trailers top notch.
Yeah, it's very, very good trailer. I also don't care about the game. Even on Game Pass, I'm probably not going to play this just because it's not my cup of tea. But yeah, that trailer was great. Loved the Skyrim references, like you said. Just 10 out of 10. Great presentation there as well. I would say like one of if not the best trailers of the night for sure.
Yeah, I will say it's weird because you can already play Goat Simulator on like modern consoles, so I don't really know why it needs a remaster. That's just
Unreal Engine 5, man. Unreal Engine 5.
all right,
I
all
would
right.
assume. I don't know. I have no idea what engine it runs on.
Next up, Techland revealed Dying Light the Beast, a 20-hour single player campaign. Brings you back to the first main character from the original Dying Light. Apparently started as a DLC. I know they said they're giving it free to people that bought like the Ultimate Edition of
Oh,
Dying
wow.
Light 2, because it was meant to be DLC for that, spun off into it. So if you have that Ultimate Edition, you'll be getting this. Looked good. I've played the first Dying Light. It's a little scary for me personally, especially when the night comes. I think it's a good game. It's just not one that's always like, oh, I got to get to this right away.
Yeah, I have never actually finished a Dying Light game. I've dabbled in the first one, and I never played the second one when it came out. Which, sorry, I know they worked hard on that one, trying to get that one out the door, but it just
Mm-hmm.
never got to my playlist. I know that I made a video, like I said, talking about the Gamescom announcements, and this is one that people kept coming back, and they were like, "Yo, we can't just gloss over the fact that Kyle Crane is back in action. Like, this is a very popular character with the Dying Light fandom." So to see them getting some love and to see them continuing to kind of lean into the success of Dying Light is really nice to see. So congrats to Techland for making this one happen once again. But I like this kind of release again, like
Mm-hmm.
a 20-hour budget kind of like, hey, we have content that isn't quite a full game, but it's like we still want you to play it. They can have it for free if you bought the Ultimate Edition. Love to see that kind of thing. So more like this, kind of in that same vein of what we were talking about earlier, where it's like smaller experience but cheaper and more timely. Like I like that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. No release date. I maybe next year. I it didn't. I it felt like watching the trailer. I was like, okay, it seems like they've put some time into this already. I think Dying Light 2 came out a few years ago at this point, so
Yeah.
should be not that far away.
Was that 2021 that Dying Light 2 came out?
I wanted to say 2022, but I might be wrong.
Let's see, release date. Yeah, February 2022. You're right.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, King of Meat. Uh, I I honestly don't know what to say except like I thought this trailer was pretty funny, and I know it's stupid, like Jeff Keighley voicing over like an animated little Jeff Keighley, and then it's a 4-player co-op game where you make crazy dungeons and you and your friends try to get through them. It's a party game, all right. No release date, no real anything, but like the trailer didn't look that bad to me. Like this could be one of those like Doritos Crash Course style, like hey, you and your friends get on, have a fun time with it.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like a little bit of Fall Guys mixed in there, right? Like
Hmm.
this is just one of those kind
It's
of party
X
games.
Media Tonic people.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah. So this is basically like the bean game with a different skin on it. I got to be real with you. This was the thumb tapper. Like I saw this one coming. I
Okay.
watched the little Jeff skit and then I was like, all right, I know what this is. And then I just kind of skipped through it. So not for me. Glad to see it happening though. I'll be interested to see how it's received because I think we're getting like a lot of these little party games that are popping up. Like I know we have, I would consider like Gang Beast one of those. And then you've
Hmm.
got Fall Guys and then you've got Stumble Guys, the
Oh
like
yeah.
the spinoff or
You
whatever
have
that
that
people
animal one too. Party animals.
party animals. So it's like we're getting a whole lot of these, and I just don't know how long ragdoll physics can win people over time after time. Like at some point, are we hitting a threshold of like too many of these? But I'm not the guy for it, so maybe I'm wrong.
No. Hero shooters, ragdoll physics, battle royales. Like, all right, just keep them coming, okay?
I need 4 more Overwatch clones
Yeah.
by the holidays. Come on.
By this holiday, all
Yeah,
right? They're
yeah,
in development.
yeah. I need Tencent working on at least 5 Overwatch clones.
Yeah, we're not talking about it, but the fact they gave Tencent the award for like sustainable energy or what, like, I just was like, are you kidding? Come on now, really?
The year that Xbox won it, which I think they wanted, that might have been last year, where they were like, I mean, I get that because like the consoles are helping the environment. It's like recycled controllers occasionally and stuff like that. But it's like, Tencent, you really? I don't know about that one.
those, we're just gonna gloss over a lot of things. Okay. All right. Next up, we got Linked Banner of the Spark. I think this is a horrible name for a game. Want that shouldn't have been known right off the bat. That said, I don't think the game looked too bad. It was like a action co-op game. Didn't really blow my socks off. It feels like I had seen this game before, and I know I haven't because this was their reveal. But that, like, if you're looking up the trailer, Sam, you'll know what I mean. Like, this looks like a game you probably played already.
Yeah, I mean, this is one that I watched the trailer a little bit for. Once again, kind of skip through this. I'm just like, I think that where I'm at with a lot of these games, and I'm not going to try to repeat myself too much throughout this podcast, but it's like I have such limited time,
Mhm.
and it's like these games that I know that I'm not gonna pick up and play. I'm just kind of like, cool, glad that it's out there. But yeah, it looks like I would consider this one of those like Unreal Engine 5 or Unreal Engine 4 demo games, or like you know what I mean, where it's like it just feels like it's playing with the mechanics and somebody's trying out their hand at game development, which is not meant to be a dig. Like I'm sure it's probably great, but that's the vibe that I'm getting.
Yeah. Again, no release date or anything for that. Maybe it'll come out and surprise everyone. If it's a good time, maybe a subscription service. I could see myself playing it with friends for a little bit, but nothing there really screamed like, oh, I gotta get that day one.
Yeah, no, definitely not for me.
All right. Lost Records Bloom and Rage coming to Xbox on February 18th and March 18th. They're doing a dual sort of release, part one on the 18th of February, and then the second part in March. This is from the Life is Strange team, I believe, or one of the Life is Strange teams, because there's multiple. Again, not into this style. Like Life is Strange doesn't do anything for me. This gives me those vibes. I do like narrative, like choose your own, like sort of adventure style games. More in the horror genre. This was a little too like teenage drama-y for me.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's like what these games kind of deliver, right? Where it's just one of these like emotionally tugging games where it's going to be great for some people, not great for me. I played through Life is Strange. I think I played through the original one, and I might have played Life is Strange too, but then I'm just kind of like I'm moving out of that. So, yeah, I'm sure people are going to have a great time with it.
I hear the power in true colors is empathy.
Oh,
A superpower.
we all need more of that, don't we?
Superpower of feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we
Need some of that on X. Need some.
Yeah,
need some of that.
certainly need some of it over there.
Need
Yes.
some of that over there on X a little bit.
The next trailer I have some big issues with because Jeff Keighley hyped this one. I was like, revealed 4 years ago on the Game Awards stage, Arc Raiders, the post-apocalyptic shooter or looter shooter or something. And then he's like, check out the new trailer. And it was essentially nothing. Like you saw some people running through a desert and then it just said 2025. I was like, I still know absolutely nothing about this game, Jeff. Like, what is the point in showing this right now?
Yeah, there is literally nothing here. I mean, looking at even the comments on the PlayStation YouTube channel, it's like I hate when there's a trailer with no gameplay. It's pretty much exactly what it is. If you have come this far, like if we've been waiting 4 years for an update for this, you've got to at least show me what the game actually is. And I feel like Arc Raiders for me is getting looped into like I think this one's still in development, but Fair Games, right? The like kind of heist thing that I think Jade Raymond's working on over at PlayStation. And then you've got Arc Raiders, and then you've got Marathon, and it's all this like I mean, obviously you've got the heist game, but there's like this extraction element and a lot of these things where it's just like they all congeal together in my mind, and none of them are really defining like a feel or a theme or something that I can look at and say like, ah, that's a visual identity that I am looking forward to playing. Like they all just kind of have this nebulous wad of game to them. I don't know how to describe it, but I feel the same kind of way about Concord, which I did not play the beta, so like I don't know, but like in my mind, like it's just like again, I don't want to keep using the term, but it's like demo. Like this is like a game that I'm putting together and making, without really a true thing to it.
I always associate Arc Raiders when I hear it. For some reason, my mind goes to Sega's canceled hero shooter extraction game Hyenas.
Yes, that's the one that I'm thinking of.
Yes,
yeah,
that's literally. I'm like, are those the same game? Like, is that what Arc Raiders is? No, it's not the same game. But like, that's what I always think of because this game's done nothing to prove to me it is an actual game.
Yeah, I think that I don't know. I don't want to say that there's like this shared identity that's kind of evolving around these games that are coming out where companies are trying something new for the first time, but it's clear that everybody's taking inspiration from each other because that's how we all work. Even as content creators, like we take inspiration from other podcasters and people that are making stuff online, and games are no different. Like movies, TV, it's all just looking at somebody else and doing a spin on that. So I would love to see like, you know, getting back to that grit, that I don't even want to say gritty, but like getting back to something where it's an original idea, like a concept that's never really been done before. And I just don't know if these games are quite there. Like they're trying, but I just don't know if it's hitting it for me personally.
Yep. No. Next up, Path of Exile 2. In case you forgot, it's coming to early access on November 15th. It'll be on Xbox Series consoles and PS5 and PC. And it's a Diablo style game. Heard nothing but good things about this. I think it's really interesting that they clearly like we need to separate this and Diablo further in the show. Like if you put them too close together, Diablo is probably going to eat its lunch. So it was interesting. Again, I'm not a Path of Exile guy, like especially when I see what Diablo 4 has cooking with that expansion further on. Much more interested in playing that, especially comes out a month sooner. So
I gotta say though, I know that like they're obviously going after the same audience and stuff. Whenever Diablo 4 came out, and it was originally not really thriving in terms of like the post campaign,
Yeah. Hmm.
whenever people were trying to get legs out of the game, those seasons weren't really doing it. Path of Exile was popping. Like this is a game that keeps people coming back, and there is a specific niche of this community that really loves Path of Exile.
Hmm.
And it's also worth mentioning this is free to play. Like
Hmm.
that's a big deal. So if you don't want to spend, let's just say $30 on sale for Diablo 4, and then an additional 30 to 40, I think it goes all the way up to 60 for the Ultimate Edition, or even more than that for the Vessel of Hatred, and you just want that little dungeon
Hmm.
grindy kind of thing. Path of Exile 2 is going to be there. I'm definitely going to play it because, like, visually, I like the way that it looks. I think that I played a little bit of Path of Exile 1, and it was like slow Diablo, and I just like absolutely wrecking waves of enemies.
Hmm.
I like the kind of arcade feel of Diablo, but I'm definitely keeping my eye on this one. This is one that really stood out to me for the show. The gameplay looks really solid.
Yeah, I have no doubt that this is going to be a good game. Like, it's going to review well. It's going to find a strong player base.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm curious what the monetization looks like, and that's coming from a lack of research from me right now. But I would assume that it's probably going to be like seasonal battle pass stuff and cosmetics.
Yeah, I see Silkin it in the chat. Says Pillars of Eternity 2 might be on my top 3 games for the rest of the year. I'm sure Silkin it might know what the monetization looks like. So if you can throw that in the chat for us. Thank you. Next up, we got Reanimal. It's the new project from the Little Nightmares team, whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce, but obviously Supermassive took over development on Little Nightmares 3, and now they're doing Reanimal. Looks like a very similar artistic style, dark, dreary, kind of going for some creepy elements in there. I tried Little Nightmares 1. I didn't really like it all that much. So, like, I'm not super into what this team does. I know there is a bunch of people that are, though.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of I mean, obviously like Little Nightmares 1 and 2, but Bramble the Mountain King that I played earlier this year that I know a lot of other people played as well, through Game Pass. And it's got that kind of like almost like a folklore kind of feel to it. Obviously it's original story, stuff like that. But these games just don't really like do a whole lot for me personally. I think that when Limbo came out, Limbo was a big deal because it had never really been done in that way before.
Hmm.
And then you've seen a couple of other games like that that have come around, obviously Inside, things like that. And then Little Nightmares is kind of in that same vein in my mind. And it's not that they're bad games. It's just that like, it's just not what I really want from my game experience. So I might play it at some point if it's on sale. But yeah, you can definitely tell that it's the creators of Little Nightmares 1 and 2. That's for sure.
Every one of those games you just named are games that I tried, played like an hour or two, and I was like, I don't get it. This isn't, I'm not enjoying this.
Yeah, I mean, like I like Limbo, and I like these games. I've just got to be in the mood for it, and it doesn't happen very often. I'll say it like that.
All right. All right, so I don't know when that's coming out, but look forward to that. Next up, as you already talked about, Sam, Genshin Impact arrives on Xbox November 20th. The worldwide sensation for all you weebs out there. I'm a weeb too. I don't know what I'm talking about. For all us weebs, all right, even though I'm not a Genshin guy. Finally coming to Xbox, Hoyoverse can make millions and millions of more dollars. You know what's funny is I was told that just when they released a new character, they made like $50 million off that
Oh,
one character. And I was like, are people really just spending money to get a character, like a chance at a character?
yeah, I mean, this is a very big game, and obviously it's on PlayStation already, and it's on mobile, I believe, as well. And it's funny. I'm sure this is one that my fiance is going to play because when she got an iPad Pro for grad school, and like we drove to Best Buy, picked up the iPad Pro, and it's like, you're downloading all of your school apps and stuff, and then Genshin Impact lands on there, and it's like this is one hooking up the Xbox controller via Bluetooth, like you're getting your game on with that. So I'm sure this is going to be one that ends up on my machine. I played probably like an hour of Genshin Impact. I'm like, I'm good, thank you.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see that Xbox is finally getting this. I do wish that like games like this, and I don't want to loop them all into the same pile, but it's like Black Myth Wukong, Baldur's Gate 3, Genshin Impact, like all of these cultural moments that have come over the past 5 years. Xbox has missed out on some big ones, and then they're only coming later, like Final Fantasy 14 coming to Xbox. That kind of. I think that's the one that's coming to Xbox. Am I right on that? The new one that's the MMO, the online one that everybody was like, "Oh my god, finally!"
I don't remember.
I think it's 14. I want to say it's 14.
Oh no, yeah, 14's on Xbox. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like recently, like this spring it
Yeah,
came,
yeah,
right?
it just came. Yeah, it
Yeah.
just
So
came.
like
Yeah.
all of these things that are like big cultural phenomenons that Xbox happens to be getting like between 2 and 5 years later, or even more. I don't know how long Final Fantasy was cooking, but it's like I wish we could start getting these in a timely way that it's not like, hey, here it is 3 years later, Genshin Impact. But nonetheless, I guess better late than never. It's kind of the way that I look at that.
Yeah, and I will say clearly this shows Xbox is talking to Hoyoverse, so I would expect their other games to eventually come over to make them more money. And the thing about these games is it's account based on their servers, so like you
Mm.
can play it anywhere. Like if you can pick it up on your iPad, link your account, play it on your like it's all the same account, can go everywhere with you.
Yeah, very nice. I love it when stuff does that. I know that Call of Duty, I'm not a Battle Pass guy, but I know that like COD Mobile and Warzone and the regular Call of Duty all share the same Battle Pass progression. So like that's something that I love to see, where it's like if I'm on the train and want to play whatever, I can still have that progression when I get home, and it's not just through cloud or remote play.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we got another trailer for Monster Hunter Wilds. How many times we gotta see this? I get it. All right. I'm not the Monster Hunter guy. I played like 20 hours of World, all right, and that's like low. Like that's not even you can't even finish the story. So I didn't get anywhere near into this game. But I feel like I see this game every single event and it's always just like there's a monster over there. Let's go kick the crap out of it. And then then they do it. It's like Monster Hunter Wilds coming next year. I'm like, great, cool. Same trailer, same trailer.
Yeah, I have no interest in this. I mean, I've just never been a Monster Hunter guy. I've played the games a couple of times. I played probably 5 hours of Worlds, I think. But yeah, just not me. Again, happy for you. Congratulations if you like it, but it's not my kind of game.
Yep. And there's a rumor going around I saw from Inside Gaming that it might be locked to 30 FPS on console, but remains to be seen.
I think that I want to have a conversation about that. Maybe that's a post show topic for another time, but it's like we know it's possible. Like Starfield just got an update for 60 FPS on Series S. What are we doing out here? If Starfield can run at 60 on Series S, you got to tell me that Monster Hunter Worlds can.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking about 30 FPS soon, but next up, Fatal Fury City of Wolves got a new trailer showing off comes out April 24th, 2025. This might be the furthest away release date we have for a 2025 game in April. I can't really remember all of them, but this is a fighting game for those interested. I thought it looked pretty good. I don't know if Fatal Fury is really going to make a cultural impact, like if it's going to make a comeback, because I feel like fighting games at this point, like this used to be a big name. Can it break into the scene with like Tekken killing it, Street Fighter killing it? I don't know.
I don't even know if it has to, honestly. I like looking at the gameplay. I think of this and I think of like King of Fighters as well,
Oh
where
yeah.
there's not really like you don't really need to tap that hardcore mainstream audience whenever it's like Mortal Kombat is bigger than it's ever been and Street Fighter is bigger than it's ever been and Tekken's back in a really big way. And I would consider Tekken like third place behind all of those. But like this is cool in the same way that I think about like the side scroller beat 'em ups of TMNT coming back and that kind of thing where you see Streets of Rage and that kind of stuff still sticking around and being a big deal. So I don't think it has to be mainstream. I think that it'll hit the fan base that's there for it. I think for sure.
I hope so. Hope so. We can skim by this one. Civ 7 got a release date, February 11th, 2025. It is coming to console.
Tapping
Yeah,
this phone screen.
this is going to be a huge game, but this is just not. I don't care about making my own history. All right.
Yeah, was it Sid Meier that was out on stage? Did he bring out? Or I know that Peter Molyneux was out on stage at
Oh
one
my
point for something.
And I don't know. Did I even put that? Yeah, I did. I did put that. We'll talk about Peter Molyneux, man. I put it in the notes further up because who got some things to say about Peter. Starfield vehicle update is out now. It adds the Rev 8 Dune buggy vehicle, and Shattered Space is releasing September 30th. Love it. No notes. I loved the trailer. Thought it was a funny like car commercial, and then you give me the Shattered Space release date. I can't ask for much more. It's in a jam-packed window, but I'm going to be playing it.
Oh yeah, I'm excited about this, and again, like I have access to the DLC thanks to I think Clint again gave me the full edition or whatever over on the XCP Discord back whenever the game was dropping. But I'm really excited about this one as well. I haven't gone back, and I've said it a couple of times that I'm like, oh, this is the update I'm going to go back and play. They've added XYZ. I haven't even played it at 60 FPS on console yet because like stuff just got caught up, and I just haven't had time. So like with Shattered Space, I'm going to intentionally take time to go back and like actually play through more Starfield because I think that it's come a long way, and I think that I don't know if it's just that I haven't talked about it, so I haven't been seeing my comment section flame me for it, but I feel like the narrative around Starfield is doing what I think that everybody thought that it would do over time, and it's like, turns out it's a pretty good game. Like it was just getting flamed unnecessarily. So I'm excited to go back and really give it another go and get back in there. So glad to see that they've added stuff that the community asked for, like again 60 FPS on Series S and X. You've got the Doom buggy stuff, which has the vertical
Yeah, you
boost
can
as
fly
well.
across like
That's sick. Give me
canyons.
a
Awesome.
give me a low graph planet with a little boost action. I'm totally down for that. So that's great.
Yeah, super cool, super cool. And I'm just excited for the DLC, House of Rune, horror, story based. Like it's awesome. I can't wait.
Very cool.
Marvel Rivals got a release date out December 6th. They're adding Captain America and the Winter Soldier to the lineup. I have not played Marvel Rivals. I'm Team Concord, all right. So as much as I love Marvel, all right, this looks more like an Overwatch clone to me, and I ain't about that.
It is. I mean, that's pretty much what everybody said. I also haven't played it, but the gameplay that I've watched is like it is Overwatch. It is Marvel characters. I think that it's interesting that it's free to play and all of the characters are free. So I'm like, are you just monetizing through the battle pass and the cosmetics for the characters? I would assume. But I like that it's not locking like Captain America behind some kind of weird paywall or anything like that. So they're winning people over there. But I don't know if I'll play this one or not. Honestly, they reached out and they were like, "Hey, you want beta codes?" And I'm like, no, I think I'm good. So I probably won't be diving into that, but it'll be interesting to see how that compares to like Concord and then Overwatch as well, how that continues to grow through the years. Cause it's like, it's Marvel and Marvel's on a little bit of an upswing here with Deadpool and Wolverine and whatnot. So it's a good time to come out.
I'm about to make a name for myself.
Ooh, I'm about to make a name for myself in there.
All right. I'm gonna go through I'm gonna save the next one because it's a big one. I'm gonna go through some of the smaller ones. Age of Mythology got a new trailer. It comes out next week. Great. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 got another trailer. It's out February 11th, 2025. That got leaked and they announced it ahead of the showcase.
Yes.
Yeah. Little Nightmares 3 got a new trailer. Still 2025. We already talked about that essentially.
We also already talked about Reanimal. So, I mean,
Yes, exactly. Same game.
Copy and paste that conversation and put Reanimal in that instead of Little Nightmares.
World of Warcraft: The War Within has an early access beta coming in a couple days. If you like World of Warcraft, you already know this.
Yep. Big AAA Xbox release right there. So glad to see Xbox original games getting the limelight or the spotlight they deserve.
One I am excited for: Unknown 9 Awakening got a new trailer. It's launching October 18th, right in the middle of everything else. So essentially sending the game out to die. Really, really great marketing strategy there, Bandai Namco. You're sending your small AA, like it's a $50 title, your AA game, which you bragged about when it was revealed. Hey, we want to make this a multimedia type thing. Unknown 9 is gonna be a thing in books and movies. You're sending it out to die.
100%. And even looking at the gameplay, I'm like, this is one of those ones that again just merges in my mind with Banishers. Like I can't look at that game and not see Banishers. And I'm like, I just don't know. And then sorry about that one. That's just not looking too good for that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna support it. I'm gonna play it. I don't know. It's definitely not gonna be October 18th. Like I got it. I bought it already, but it's not gonna be on October 18th. So, Peter Molyneux, let's talk about him. He announced his next game, Masters of Albion, trying to really get everyone on that Fable nostalgia. All right, with the Albion tease. This is like a god game where you have your little hands, you control a town, and then at night you can play as like a villager who attacks in essentially what I would describe as RuneScape combat, because this game looks horrible. Peter, you gotta go. All right. Thank you for Fable. I love Fable 1. All right. I will never hold it against you for all the things you promised. Everything you have done since then, every word out of your mouth has been a lie. I'm glad you were funding this project yourself so other people don't get disappointed. But man, you are so out of touch with the games industry these days, Peter.
I mean, this is doing a grand total of net nothing for me. So like, I don't even have anything to say on it. This is honestly, this was a thumb one for me too, where like I just kind of skip through the gameplay because there's nothing about this that feels appealing to me. Sorry.
This feels like a game I would have played on my iPad back in 2007.
It just is not. It's not. What's going on here? Like as I'm looking at this and really taking it all in, I'm like, what is happening? This is such a strange fever dream of a trailer I'm looking at.
This genuinely feel like I'm saying this feels like, oh, Peter Molyneux is a big name. Like this feels like he got the job because of who he knows, not because of the product. All right.
Yeah, this is such a strange. Yeah, this is not. I don't think this is going to do well at all.
No, no. All right, let's talk about what we are touching on. Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred got a new trailer. Looks awesome. Coming out October 8th. I don't really have more to say about that. If you know what Diablo 4 is, you know what to expect. Continuing the story. Looks sweet.
Yeah, the mercenaries are very cool. I think that they've done a good job of like backstories and personalities, and they kind of like laid the groundwork for what they're bringing with Vessel of Hatred. So that's very exciting. Yes, I agree.
The first Berserker Kazan has announced their technical closed beta for Xbox players. You must be an Xbox insider. They said it's first come, first serve.
That is such a weird way to do this because I went and I was going to sign up for this beta because I looked at it and like art style combat looks very solid. And then it's like, hey, if you're on PS5, here's your email address and we'll invite you. If you're on Xbox, here's your sword. Go out into the arena. All right. You ready to fight for your spot in this thing? But nonetheless, it looks very fun.
Yeah, it came across to me very much like, we know you're there too, but like most of our spots are for the PlayStation. All right.
Yeah. I'm curious if it's like a back end thing where like they couldn't invite people to the beta. But then I think about like, I mean, bro, Call of Duty's got that capability. So like, why don't you? Either way, I'm glad that it's coming to Xbox at launch. Mm-hmm. Interesting note there, though. The beta is only going to be on Series X. So if you have a Series S, you cannot play the first Berserk Kazan beta.
I'm giggling because I just picture the CEO going, "Oh, we don't want the pores."
Yeah, I mean, it's that, and also like, so it's not going to be there in beta. How long until you release? Because you still have to release this game on the Series S. So are we looking at like a delayed release again? An old Baldur's Gate?
I can see this game being another one of, hey, it's out on PS5 this month. It'll be out on Xbox in a few months.
Yeah, I really hope, just as we like take a pause there, like between the Black Myth stuff and this, and it's like as Xbox prepares for the next generation, assuming that there's going to be more hardware, taking these execs at their words, once again, you've got to figure out these development issues. If it's going to remain this multi-SKU kind of thing where you get the less powerful and the more powerful, you've got to figure out a better way to help these developers make games more easily, because having this weird tiered release where everything comes out on PlayStation a little bit early, or some of the big games come out on PlayStation a little bit early, is just not a good look, even if you didn't intend for it to be that way. They've got to fix that.
Speaking of games coming out early on other platforms, let's talk about Towerborn, because they teased, hey, we got a special announcement. Tune into Opening Night Live. I was like, yo, there's Shadow dropping it. I'm gonna boot it up with my friends tonight. Gonna get some Castle Crasher style combat going on. All right. And then they said Steam early access on September 10th. Xbox, we'll get back to you. This is an Xbox Game Studio published game, and you are slapping Xbox in the face. All right. And I understand, I saw some things from the developers today that like, well, early access is a tried and tested method on Steam versus consoles. We want to work out everything on PC before we bring it to console for the better experience. I understand what you're saying, all right? I'm hearing the words. It all sounds like malarkey to me, all right? It sounds very much like you just care about the PC audience more than the Xbox audience, even though the Xbox is what's funding your game.
I think that it's just for me, okay, cool. Don't put it out on Xbox consoles for your early access. Can we at least get like Xbox game preview on PC? Like go like put it in the Xbox for PC app. Or is that all just connected on the Xbox backend? And I saw other people talking about how it was a small dev team and stuff like that. I just got to keep it real though. The more that I see of this game, the less that I even like.
Mm.
I know that a couple of years ago, whenever this was shown off during the Xbox showcase, it was kind of one of the big like, oh, Towerborn is an Xbox game. This is a big one that's coming out. The closer we get, the more that I'm like, okay, like you've this is one of those ones that for me is almost like a victim of hype, where it's like we've been talking about it for so long, and now it's finally coming out, and it's like, okay, it's Castle Crashers with a couple of new elements and stuff, and it's going to be ongoing and stuff like that. Like I'll probably play it because it's Game Pass, but I don't know. I feel like it's getting like too big for its britches in terms of like the hype level that the Xbox community is kind of thrown into this one.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. I think I forget who I was saying this to earlier because someone was like, "Oh, Castle or Towerborn is going to come out in 2025 because they did delay the full release to 2025,
Yeah.
and it's going to be a massive success." And I was like, this is like the seasoning in Game Pass, all right? This isn't like the main course,
Yeah.
all right? This game has never been that. I don't understand where this narrative came from. This was always going to be a smaller, like just have fun with it type game, not a oh my god, I need to own an Xbox and need to sign up for Game Pass type game.
Yeah, I know it was a big one whenever it was debuted. Like I think that might have been like 2022 whenever that game was shown off. Might have been 2021 even. Like it's been a hot minute. But it was like one of the big things from the Xbox showcase, and I think that from that point on, whenever the podcasters started talking about it, and like all of the content creators were kind of going through the breakdown, in my mind, that's where things started. But yeah, tempering expectations is fine. I'm sure it'll be good. But it's just like the more I see it, the more that I'm like, it's fine. I'll play it probably.
Yeah, I'll play it with friends. That's all. That's the only way I'm playing it.
Look at this
I'm one
guy.
that-
He's got friends over
I
here.
will say it's a free to play title as well, which I don't think I knew before they announced it
Is
this
it?
week. So what's the point? Why we keep doing this? You're doing it with Genshin Impact too. Game Pass. It's a free to play game. What's
Yeah.
going on? Like I get you'll probably get some like bonus, like oh you get some bonus currency or whatever, but can we just stop saying free to play games are in Game Pass?
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
All right. I'm gonna go to this one because I care less about it. The Mafia, the Old Country was announced. Okay. And I gotta be honest, when I saw this trailer, I was like, is this like a Godfather game? Like
That's what
what's
people are saying. It
yeah.
feels like a Godfather game. Yeah.
It's because I have no familiarity with Mafia. So I was very confused. I didn't have any context. All I knew is this isn't anything that's like one last announcement that's gonna get me popping off. I understand there are people excited for this. That's awesome. I'm glad. I'm happy for you. Um, I don't. I just did nothing for me.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how this one goes, like what direction they take this one, because it's set in Sicily in the early 1900s, so it's getting back to the old country, as the title hints at. For me, when I think about Mafia, like that is 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s kind of era New York, like where it's you've got the seedy underbelly of gentlemen, they're out there
Mhm.
really controlling the city, and I like that kind of concept. And then I loved what the Mafia 3 brought, where it was more of like a 1960s kind of feel, where it's like a different take on it that's a little bit more modern. With this going old school kind of thing, I'm like, is it going to be more of a Godfather where it's more of a drama? It's more about the storytelling than it is, we're gonna break into the warehouse and with my machine gun. Like, I like that Mafia. I don't know if I'm gonna like the old country as much, but I'm interested to see where they go with it. Glad that it's still a series that's alive and doing well.
What kind of guns they got in the old country?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, they have a knife shoved in the table. I don't know if it's going to be one of those, like,
The hand to
grandpa
hand
torturing you.
combat.
Yeah, I have no idea.
All right. Well, all right. Second to last announcement we'll talk about maybe probably the only one that like I got excited for, and it's not even a video game. Prime Video has announced Secret Level, an original series focusing on video games. It's an animated anthology series. It'll have episodes for games like Sifu, Mega Man, Armored Core, Concord, and more.
God
I
of War is in
God
there
of
as
War,
well.
I saw. Yeah, I believe the official one for that is PlayStation, and then it has because I know Jin Sakai was in there too. A lot of people speculating it's like a mashup of their IP
Very cool.
together. Yeah, I thought the animation looked beautiful. I'm definitely going to be watching this when it drops. I think it's in December on Amazon Prime. Just some really cool stuff. I can't wait to see some video games brought to life for the TV screen. My only thing, Wish Halo was in here, right? Because then we would have known what it was like to get a good Halo TV show, probably.
Facts. I wish that there was more Xbox, like just in the mix here, because I feel like it's a whole lot of like either third party or PlayStation stuff, and I don't know if there was just like a lack of interest or what. Um, but I'm very excited about this. If you didn't watch, what was the other show that was like this? The one that everybody talks about. It was really good. I forget what
Black
it was.
Mirror?
No, there was another one. It had this similar kind of vibe where it was like the animation thing. Uh,
I don't watch many animated. I watch Invincible. That's like the only animated thing I
yeah, I
watch.
forget what it was. Somebody in the chat can
Oh,
correct me, but
Love, Sex, and
yeah,
Love, Death,
yes.
and Robots, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, so whatever that was. It was really good because it was kind of like these one-off different animation styles where every little episode, much like Black Mirror, felt like a different thing. And so I love that idea where it's not just a continuing story through an entire season of a show. Like it's nice little snackable 15-20 minute episodes for somebody like me whose mind has been ruined by TikTok. So yeah, more of that, and throwing gaming in there is always going to be a win for me. So I'm very excited to watch this. Glad that it's coming out on Prime, one of the few streaming services that I still have. So
Same.
I'll definitely be tuning in for that one. Shout out to free shipping and some solid movies.
Sam Heaney points out, same team making Secret Level made Love, Death, and Robots.
Very nice. Yeah, they do really great stuff. And I know that I was watching the trophy room last night, and they were talking about how everybody talks about how Blizzard cinematics are so great, and they wish that there would be a real TV show. This is kind of that vibe where it's like a video game cinematic turned into a movie or a TV show. So that's very nice.
All right, Sam, an hour and 5 minutes into the show, we're getting to the headline of the episode. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle got a new trailer, and I say that loosely, all right? It was Troy Baker talking over things we had kind of seen already. We got a release date, December 9th, 2024 on Xbox and PC, and then Jeff Keighley turns around and says, "That's not all Machine Games wants to let you know." And then we see spring 2025, PlayStation 5. Officially confirmed PlayStation 5 port is coming mere months after we get it on Xbox. Are you going to burn down the world? Are you throwing your Series X in the trash?
No. I made a video on this right after things dropped because obviously everybody's got thoughts on this. And the way that I framed it up is like I was going to play Indiana Jones on my Xbox on day one now, or then, and now I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to sit down, play Indiana Jones on my Xbox through Game Pass, enjoy it, and I'm going to be done with it. This doesn't really impact me as a player, and I don't think anybody's losing anything. But I do wonder as time goes on. Obviously, Phil Spencer had quotes as well in post shows where he was talking about how the strategy will continue to change, and as the industry grows and more money needs to be made, you're going to be seeing more of these multi-platform releases from companies across the industry. And so I'm excited to see that reality, assuming that everybody's in the game. You know what I mean? Like that sounds great. But now hit me up with some God of War on Xbox. Hit me up with some Mario on PlayStation. Like, yeah, let's, if we're gonna congeal, let's congeal and get it out there. So I'll be interested to see if Xbox continues this strategy in the future, which I assume they will. But I just keep coming back to the idea of if this game, let's say Indiana Jones, outsells the Xbox version on PlayStation,
It will.
Like it definitely will. So whenever these executives are going to be crunching the numbers that are above Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond, and they're looking at this and they're saying, "Hey, about that next piece of hardware you're working on, why? Like what are you doing that for? Because we just made $50 million more on PlayStation than we did on Xbox, and why are we putting tons and tons of money into research and development for this next console when we could just be a publisher?" And I mean, valid question for the money, for the penny pinchers over there, you know.
And right now, I would have to say their only response is we need a machine for Game Pass because it's
Yeah.
not available on PlayStation. If a world ever exists where PlayStation, for some reason, allows Game Pass on PlayStation, I don't see any reason for Xbox to continue with the hardware. And we've talked about that ad nauseum at this point, I think, where Xbox says they have a next generation console. After that, who knows what the future looks like? I'm hoping they keep with the console, at least for the enthusiasts. But like, if we bring it back, look at Indiana Jones in a vacuum, okay? I had people ask me, "Are Kevin, are you upset about Indiana Jones going to PS5?" And my answer was no, because it's a licensed IP from Disney. It's not like Xbox made Indiana Jones. It's not an Xbox IP. And then I thought further about that, because we've had Xbox IP already go. Sea of Thieves, which apparently sold 1 million copies, and if 1 million copies is all it takes to like start ramping up the project of bringing ports over, pretty low bar, because like Grounded was an Xbox IP, right? Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush, which Hi-Fi Rush isn't an Xbox IP anymore. So interesting there. But I just can't be upset about a licensed game going somewhere else where I feel like it probably always should have been, especially when I have things like Doom the Dark Ages launching day and date. And that is like, oh, that's an Xbox IP now. And that's just like, none of us cared about that because Doom's always been over there. Well, Indiana Jones games have been on other platforms in the past. Are we just going to ignore that? I can't bring it upon myself to actually care. And that got me to share on social media where I'm like, I think there's only 4 IP in Xbox's entire catalog that I would actually care about going to PlayStation, and that's Halo, Gears, Forza, and Fable. Any other IP, I just can't bring myself to care all that much about it.
I mean, I think Forza Horizon 5 is next on the docket. That was
Oh,
the
I'm
rumor.
sure. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, I think that's guaranteed to come to PlayStation, and I'd be interested to see Forza Motorsport over there as well. To see, I think that that's one that Xbox will keep exclusive because Gran Turismo and Forza go head to head directly, and arguably, if you're a sim guy, Gran Turismo is probably the better one if you're comparing it to the recent Forza Motorsport. I say as somebody who's not a sim guy, I am excited about the fact that this is happening because I do think Indiana Jones is in that same echelon of like a Doom where there is no reason to keep it exclusive. And even to your point about Halo, like that's a super uncomfortable situation for people to have to think about, where it's like this game that has defined Xbox for the past 20 plus years could potentially in the future go to PlayStation. In my mind, yes, you've got the split of like, that's an Xbox game. Like I have a look at my shelves, dude. I've got tons of Halo collectibles and an Xbox sign with green lighting behind me. Like I know how this looks. At the same time, I don't have the right to complain about low server population in Halo on Xbox if I also complain about Halo coming to PlayStation. Like, if this is what keeps it alive and makes Halo the game that it deserves to be, like if they're able to make a really, really good Halo game that can go head to head and toe to toe with Call of Duty and Battlefield and all the other big ones again, so be it. I want people in the lobbies. Like I want this game to survive. And if Xbox isn't doing it by the console path, then sure, bring it to PlayStation, whatever. As long as I get more of these adventures and multiplayer and stuff like that, that's the way that I see it. So, like, you can't complain about low server population if you're also complaining about exclusivity. Like, that's just not how that works.
Yeah, and I think when I sat down and thought about it, it was like, what are the 4 IPs I associate most with the Xbox brand that like from decades now that would make me feel weird to boot up on my PS5 to see to play with a symmetrical sticks, which I see I think it's Todd Oxter in the chat here. Xbox and PlayStation boxes are too similar for consumers. The main
Yeah.
difference is just stick position. And I gotta say, y'all choosing the wrong side, okay? Next to each other, your thumbs are hitting psycho, psycho.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would agree with that. But nonetheless, like whatever controller you prefer and let's just put all that to the side. The more people that are playing these games, the better at the end of the day. And so I'll be interested to see where things pan out with consoles continuing to kind of become, not necessarily smaller because people are continuing to play more and more, but like PCs a bigger share. These handhelds are a bigger share. And I think that Phil is right when you look at the quote from his Xbox On interview, I think is what it was, or one of the orgs that's at Gamescom right now. He was just talking about how the industry is changing and multiplat's here to stay. And like, that's just the way that things are right now. And I think you're going to see more of this. And so if it's uncomfortable, you just got to get used to it. Cause like, this is how Xbox is going to be.
I have very mixed feelings about what Phil Spencer said because on one hand, totally get it. He basically flat out confirms like Microsoft is telling us we need to do this to make money.
100%. Yeah.
And like he said it very diplomatically. I'm like, okay, CEO right there, totally get it. You don't want to be like, my boss is yelling at me. The other quote where he was talking about like, oh, the industry's changing and like we're gonna see more. I'm like, I really feel like you're saying that more hopeful than you are sure, because right now it feels like Xbox is playing alone and they're kind of like, guys, are you coming? Like, you're gonna do it too, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Xbox has always been to some degree a little bit ahead of the game in some ways. You know, even thinking about the moves that they made on the Xbox, where like people were using multiple screens at one time and like all of that stuff. Like it didn't pan out the way that they thought it would. But Xbox has always been kind of pushing the limits of where they think things are going. And I do think that over time, I mean, you're seeing the beginnings of it with PlayStation. Where I was thinking about this a couple of days ago. Who would have thought 10 years ago that you could play God of War on a PC? You know, The Last of Us on a PC. You've got Ghost of Tsushima on PC. Like these are very, very big deals. And I'm not saying the PlayStation's going to bring their games to Xbox because I think that's like a different level of desperation that Xbox has right now.
Concord, make it.
I mean, like legit, and you know, we kid, but like Concord, Helldivers 2, those are two perfect examples of games that would kill it on Xbox. Like the more people that are playing, the better, especially with the live service stuff. And so I think that that's a really good example of like, I do think the PlayStation will eventually break out even more and more and get their stuff on more places because they've got to get more players in the door if they want to keep these stock prices going up and the money keeps flowing. They can't just stick to a console that PlayStation 5 is selling much, much less than the PlayStation 4 was. I mean, that's just how we are right now because a lot of cross-platform games and whatnot haven't really, you know, come out or non-cross-platform games have come out. But nonetheless, I do think it's changing. But to your point, like to what speed? And will it pan out in the way that Microsoft thinks that it will?
Well, we did have one question this week from Sam Heaney, who was hanging out with us in the chat. Shout out, Sam. He says, "Howdy, fellas. Looking forward to feeling those haptic whip cracks next spring. Quips aside, do you expect the formatting of the indie announcement to be the blueprint that Xbox follows in the future?" I assume he means 4-month-ish after launch releases on PlayStation. I personally don't think that's going to be the format. I still very much view it as a case by case basis. Like otherwise, Hellblade 2 would have been announced, right? That would have been coming out this holiday. So I very much view this as like a Disney is like, you got to sell some copies of this game for us. All right. So that requires PlayStation. And also just like maybe Bethesda games are a little more open to getting there a lot sooner.
Yeah, I have a very confident feeling that Disney is the one that's pushing this type of release and this type of announcement. And I really think that if this was not an Indiana Jones thing or you know anything in that LucasArts vein, that it would be a very different situation. So like I don't think that Avowed is going to get its launch trailer and then it's like on PlayStation 5 in October 2025. Like I think this is very much a one-off for Indiana Jones, and everything else is going to be handled on that case by case. But it will be interesting to see how they handle things like Hellblade. I really think that obviously Forza is probably next on the docket, but like close after that, you've got to imagine Starfield's coming, right? Like you've got to think that that's coming to PlayStation 5.
I'm pretty confident next year they get some like game of the year or edition or something, like including the expansion. Like it just makes too much sense for me, especially because we're seeing more and more Bethesda IPs go over there. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to have to be the way that it does, and it's a surprise drop that no one can really expect because then if you make it something that's rhythmic, you then lose that still iota of people that are like, oh, I want to play that day one on Xbox, you know, or day one in general, and they don't want to wait. I think you've got to kind of keep people guessing, even though that's going to really irritate people that are like, well, you brought those, where's that one? That'll definitely be a part of the conversation too.
Yeah, except Blade. I think Blade's probably going to be on both day one.
You think so?
I think so.
They haven't confirmed otherwise.
Exactly. They haven't even confirmed it's coming to Xbox. I haven't seen no trailer with the Xbox logo. So,
Which, admittedly, that's also a Disney Marvel situation.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why.
Yeah,
I agree. For sure. All right. Let's move into, we got 2 quick stories here, and then we'll wrap this show on up. So that's Gamescom, everyone. Thanks for hanging with us. Story number 2, just a Game Pass update, and it's a quick one. Atlas Fallen's on Cloud PC and Xbox Series X right now.
Woo!
August 27th, Core Keeper for Cloud PC and Xbox Series X and S. September 3rd, Star Trucker for Cloud Console PC. And that's it. Another
What'd you call me?
Yeah, Star Trucker. All right. That's it. 3 games again, very small drop. I don't know what's going on with the Game Pass drop lately. Atlas Fallen, I think it's a fun game. Go check that out. Otherwise, what's going on, Xbox? Can we get some games?
I mean, Kevin, what you got to understand is they increased the price, but then they also like give you less. That's how inflation
That's how I
works.
feel, to be honest.
That's how inflation works, Kevin. You've got to understand where
Don't
we're
worry.
at economically.
The Call of Duty open beta is also on Game Pass.
Oh, thank God. I was worried I'd have to pay for that. Wait, hold on. Is that a free to play game? Yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see Atlas Fall, and it's in that same vein as Immortals of Avium coming earlier this year, whenever that dropped in Game Pass, and it's one that I'll give a shot because I know you played it, you enjoyed it, you gave it like a 7 or an 8 kind of ranking, right?
It's definitely one of those 7 out of 10 games that's like good, except I'm pretty sure they just released like a whole new update that changes the beginning of the game, redo some mechanics. Like they improved it from what their patch is supposed to do. So game might look a little different, but when I played it, good 7 out of 10.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, that's, I hate to be like that, but that's why I like Game Pass. You know, like all the 7s and 8s that I wouldn't want to pay 50 or 60 or $70 for. I'm like, well, I'll play that on game. Flintlock next up on the docket. Like, yeah, glad to see that in Game Pass. So yeah, I'll definitely give it a shot, but I still don't mind that these Game Pass drops aren't quite as beefy as they were before, because like I have a lot of games in the backlog still to play, but at the same time, it's like paying a whole lot of money per month for these games right now.
Yeah. Star Trucker though. You know?
Yeah, wasn't that the main character from Starfield? Wasn't that what that was?
I'm pretty sure it's a character in Concord. Yeah,
Star Trucker.
I'm pretty sure it's named Star Child, but yes.
Oh yeah, that's not the main character from Guardians, right?
It's
that's
it's Drax, but not Drax.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah,
and yeah, then there is one that's Michael Roker. All right, last story. That ain't right. It was that was last week's story. Okay, Avowed. Will it be 30 FPS on consoles? This is according to friend of the show, Lord Cognito, who on the most recent episode of the Defining Duke podcast said when asking Obsidian devs what target console performance is for Avowed, him and Mr. Matty Plays were told 30 FPS. The build they played on at Gamescom was, well, not Gamescom, Gamescom LA, was 60 FPS on PC, but was limited to only first person. You concerned about this at all, Sam?
I mean, I think concern is a strong term. I wouldn't say that I am necessarily concerned about it. What I will say though is that like you should give people the option. We are at the point in the console generation where we should figure out how to make these games run in the best possible way before they're released. And I think that Starfield suffered from the narrative around 30 FPS at launch. Now I play Starfield, love Starfield. Do not care about it. Any game that's like cinematic, I'm that guy. Like I'm the one that people make fun of, where like I really think that there are times whenever the 30 FPS makes me feel more immersed in the game and the way the story is being told. At the same time, it's a game like Avowed. I don't know if that's really like, if it's a high action sword swinging thing, I'd probably rather have some 60 FPS, but it's not going to scare me off from playing it. I just hate that we keep throwing ourselves into this like walking into a trap thing where oh wow, Avowed, cool new fantasy RPG, it runs at 30 FPS. Well, Xbox is weak, Series S is holding it back. When this game comes to PlayStation 5 Pro, it'll run better. Like that's what's going to happen. And I'm so tired of being in this situation where I have to feel like I defend it, but it needs to run at 60. If it runs at 30, I'm going to be fine. But like, man, come on, dude.
You almost said verbatim what I said in the Discord private chats, where I was like, 30 FPS doesn't really matter to me. That like I will still play. Like I played Starfield as you did, loved it. Doesn't matter to me, but from the outside perspective, there is a narrative developing about Xbox first party stuck at 30 FPS, where PlayStation doesn't seem to be having this issue. And then 6 months down the line, they'll get a patch to run at 60 FPS. And it's like, okay, do these games need more dev time? Is it, are they lying about their choices at launch? Like, what is actually going on here? And as soon as I saw this, I go, but they said it was for my backlog. And now I'm like, well, the delay is clearly because they need more time. And like if the build they were playing first person only, and we know this has a third person option, like this seems like a very early build, I would hope, and they still got some things to figure out.
Yeah, I really, really hope that this launches at 60 FPS. I feel like if it doesn't, definitely going to be an egg on their face. Won't take it away from me, but yeah, those narratives. I mean, especially now with the whole like your big games are coming to PlayStation 5, Phil basically confirming more games are coming to PlayStation 5. Those replies, like shout out to the social media manager on the Xbox and Game Pass accounts because y'all are going through it over the next couple of years as we figure this whole thing out because that's going to get weird.
Do you think Xbox will give like PS5 Pro patches to games over there when they don't have a Pro console and they're just like, yeah, we don't care.
I don't know. I think it depends on how the PlayStation 5 Pro supports games natively already. You know what I mean? Like if they have their version of an FPS boost where a
Hmm.
game that runs well
Just
can then get
automatically, yeah.
bumped up to 120. I also think it considers like what's the next gen upgrade for Xbox look like whenever they eventually have an next gen upgrade. Like will that bring a slew of improvements for existing console games? But I don't know. It's a great question.
Nissa Hauer in the chat says, "I may be maybe such a casual game or player, I don't notice the difference." You're not alone. A lot of people don't notice the difference between 30 and 60. And I remember this. Shout out Savoy Prime over at Carpool Gaming. I sent him a little GIF, and it has three circles, and one is 24 FPS, 30 FPS, and then 60 FPS. And the circles move across the screen at those different frame rates. And he told me they look the same. I go, bro, my brother in Christ, one is moving twice as fast. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, like you can definitely tell a difference. For me, my experience is that you can definitely tell a difference. At the same time, though, like if it's a single player game and I switch back and forth between quality and performance, because I do that, like
Mhm.
I'll get in and I'll see like what the difference is between the two. You give me 30 seconds in the game, my eyes adjust, literally don't even think
Yeah,
about it.
they do. They do.
It is not a big deal. But now whenever you go back to one, it's very jarring where it's like, oh God, what happened? So I can tell, but I don't need to throw anybody under the bus that can't. That's fine. Yeah. In fact,
Yeah,
congratulations on just, not having to care. Like that's really a
for
genetic
real.
win.
For yeah,
Like you really
you're
just came out on top.
you're living the. And you know what? You 70% of I don't know why I heard this statistic somewhere that a game developer said 70% of their players choose quality mode because they prefer graphics. And I assume that's probably an industry wide thing.
I would assume that the majority of players never even open the menu. So
That's also true.
like whatever you set it as, if Starfield still launches at 4K 30, then no one's even going to realize there's a 60 FPS mode. Like I think that's the reality.
That's completely fair. All right, guys. Well, we will end the show there. Thank you for hanging out with us today. Sam, thank you for being here as always. You want to let people know where they can find you and your awesome content? I know you got that Star Wars Outlaw review coming out on
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah. So I am definitely looking forward to that. I also like how you said as always here, even though I missed last week. I appreciate that. Totally glossed.
We don't talk about
We
that.
don't talk about that. But yeah, you can find me on Threads, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff at JamPackSam, making shorts throughout the week. I'm looking forward to the Star Wars videos coming out soon and share my thoughts on that. But yeah, a lot of good stuff coming, man. And of course, happy to be here most weeks with you chatting about games and Xbox.
Not every week, as he was here last week, just hiding. All
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
You can find me at the Muffin Man on all social medias. It's a 1 to 7 I O and 7A. Follow us at Save Game Media to stay up to date with all of our latest content. Until next week.